It's finally here! Some burning questions emerged in the season finale of Daredevil Born Again, such as, is Matt's relationship with Heather over? So, guys, let's unpack our reaction and break down episode 9 straight to hell. So, after I saw this episode, I'm thinking, are Matt and Heather over? What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, it definitely seems like maybe the fact that they didn't check on each other after the power went out in the city. There was no phone call from Matt to Heather or vice versa. Are you okay? That kind of surprised me a little. Did you find that odd?
Honestly, I didn't really think too much about that. It was the part where she shows up in the hospital and he calls her Karen. It's like you can see where his mind is at. That's the first person he thought of. And he's like, no. Oh, yeah. Sorry. It's kind of hard to come back from that.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, at the end, she's taking a job from Fisk, knowing how Matt, her boyfriend, feels about Fisk. And he's basically, painting him be this awful person. And she's just like, well, my boyfriend doesn't like you because he thinks you're evil. But what the heck?
Well, yeah, that was one of my questions is why didn't she take him seriously? Like, I know that he said he was going to tell her everything. She knows there's something she doesn't know. Like, why didn't she take him a little more seriously?
I don't think she feels like he's going to drop a huge bomb on her. I think she sees him as this lowly, blind dude who falls down a lot. I mean, he's always injured because he's falling down, so he's just this weak lawyer. He's good looking, smart dude, but he's just this blind lawyer dude. So I don't think she's expecting this. And with him coming with all these different theories about Fisk, they come off very conspiratorial, and he's starting to sound a little bit crazy. Everyone else sees what he does because they know his secret. She doesn't. So it's like, oh, this is weird. What's going on?
I mean, he even said that to her. I know this sounds crazy. I know that, I know that he or she set up, Foggy getting killed, and I know it sounds nuts and all that stuff. I think if he would have said that I'm Daredevil, I've met up with this guy before, she probably would have taken it a little bit more credible. But yeah, I think Doug is right on point there. She just thinks that he's a little crazy, and that's the meds talking and all that stuff. This is,
and what he's feeling is so relatable though, because like a lot of people, I've been in a situation in relationships where like the person who you think should support you the most, like maybe it's a career or whatever, where they don't, or they think you're nuts because you're like, in my case, I was younger and I was wanting to be a professional musician. And when I was dating, sometimes girls would think that was too risky. And so sometimes they'd tell you like, I think that's just kind of a high school dream that you need to give up. And it's like, whoa, here I'm like, I don't know, that's just not what you want to hear. That's a bad feeling from a partner. And I do get that Matt was kind of going off the rails a little bit, but like everybody goes a little crazy sometimes and isn't thinking straight. I mean, you want to see them stick through things with you in your rough time like Karen does. So I think we're meant to contrast Karen and Heather in this episode because, I mean, she says at the end that her and Foggy both saw all of Matt's flaws and they still accepted him the way she is, or the way she is. They still accepted Matt the way he is. And I was thinking about that because, it's a big risk if Matt were to tell Heather that he's Daredevil. It sounds like he was going to do it, but like, given where she's coming from, thinking that people wearing masks are underdeveloped, mentally unstable people. I mean, he's got a coin flip there if he tells her or not. So like, I kind of don't blame him, but if he wanted that relationship to have a shot, he needed to tell her. But I mean, that could lead to him like getting institutionalized basically.
Yeah. I think another thing is too that her being, doing counseling sessions with Fisk, she sees this one side of him. So, that's supposed to be a pretty intimate, private, sessions. So if she's seeing that, it might be hard for her to go, oh, there's no way this guy could be doing all this stuff, from that aspect of it too.
Yeah.
Especially if she doesn't know who he was before,
She did have suspicions about Fisk. Remember, she asked Vanessa, like, hey, are you afraid of him? Do you fear he's going to hurt you? And she kind of said something to the effect of he might hurt other people, but not me.
Right.
I mean,
So,
that's
I don't
kind
know.
of what abuse victims will say. Oh, he'd never do that to me. And then they do. So I don't know. I mean, all the pieces were there for Heather to give Matt more of a shot. And I think it's part him going through this too early in their relationship. He was going through an identity crisis. So yeah, that's going to put up some red flags. But man, I wish she would have given him a little bit more of a shot and benefit of the doubt, because I did like them together. But I mean, you can have a great partner, and if they don't support you, man, that can be a big wedge. So I get it.
Yeah.
But when
Just
Karen
pays a lot of
comes
money
in-
for these sessions. She didn't want to lose the client. That's
Yeah.
what
Oh,
it is.
she already lost client. They stopped
Well, yeah.
with the therapy. So
Yeah. I take it that when Karen asks Matt, hey, did you hear my heart when I first saw you? That her heart probably like skipped a beat or something. And so
Yeah.
he knows there's something romantic there that they've kind of flirted with over the years. But yeah, now he definitely knows it's still there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So did you think this was interesting? I'll throw a picture up. And if you're just listening to the podcast, Karen is stitching up Matt after this big fight, and Frank is in the background stitching himself up. If that doesn't explain what's going on with her relationship, I don't know what does.
I mean, she did offer to help afterwards, but she did help Matt first.
Yeah. So did we get our answer? Did Matt intend to save Fisk? Because we did clearly see that Fisk was Bullseye's target at the end of the previous episode. They go back to that scene. They show the view of the camera through Bullseye's sniper rifle. And we see it was definitely Fisk he was trying to take out. So did we ever get our answer about, like, did Matt just react like he said, or did he actually know he was saving Fisk? What do you think?
I mean, when him and Castle were talking, Castle's like, why did you jump in from that bullet? And Matt was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think, that's why they went with Daredevil Born Again, was because he is being born. Basically, that's how this season ended. He's been born again, and him jumping in front of that bullet, that's who he is. Him being the good guy, when him and Frank were fighting, he was trying not to kill anyone while Frank was tearing everyone.
Just bam, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think subconsciously he knew I can't just let him get murdered. So he did what he had to.
Yeah. I still want to know the question on, was Bullseye acting alone on that? Did he just decide I'm killing Fisk, or was he hired?
Yes, and I still don't know the answer as to whether or not Vanessa put that hit on him. Because so I've got this picture here, and it's Fisk sitting on the couch with Vanessa after the incident, and he's got blood all over his white suit, and he says, "Vanessa, I know." And I was like, is that like he knows that Vanessa ordered the hit on Foggy? They just showed us that scene previously. I kind of think that might be what they were alluding to, but it sure makes me wonder, does he know that she ordered a hit on him? Because then he says, hey, I set up all this architecture taking over the Red Hook because you made millions. I'm going to turn it into billions together. And all of a sudden, like, he's revealing, like, oh, he did this to up what she was doing. I still don't know, man. What do you think?
I hear when he said, I know, I thought he was referring to, I know that was you who just tried to take me out.
Yeah.
That's how I understood it. Now, whether it could be, I know what you've been doing. I think he already knew that. And I think she knew that he knew that.
But he didn't know about the hit on Foggy.
No, but I'm thinking he took I know you were trying to get rid of me because you think I'm going to shut down your business, but this is what I'm actually doing. I'm going to basically launder more money than what you're making, and we're going to do it together. And now she's like, oh, okay, I'll hold your hand.
Yeah.
I'm not losing my power.
I was going to say, the way I saw it was he's like, I know. And they kind of sit there in silence, and he's like, you've made millions doing this. So I think he's letting her know, I know that you've gone on with my business. You've been using the docks. You've been making millions, but I'm going to turn it into billions. So I think he was just saying, I know what you've been doing at the docks. I'm coming in. We're going to make 100-fold on that.
Yeah.
That's the way I saw it.
I mean, it was pretty ambiguous.
Because I thought Bullseye went after Fisk because Fisk was the one who moved him to Gin Pop.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Because when he got moved, he's like, "Who told you to move me?" And it was like Fisk, and he escaped by shooting.
So you don't think Vanessa busted him out of jail a second time or set it up so he could get out the second time? That was just
no. He escaped. He escaped. Was it last episode where?
Yeah, I know that, but you don't think that she knew that he was
no
going to be able to escape from being in solitary? If we put him in Gin Pop, he has a better chance of getting out. No,
I don't think so. I think they're both enemies to him now. But I've watched a few different videos, and there's some that think Bullseye and Daredevil will team up season 2.
Oh, that would be
to go after
an easy
Fisk.
alliance,
right? I think because remember, when he looked first, he was looking at Vanessa, so. He's like, okay, nah, should I make him suffer or should I just take him out? And he ultimately just went to Fisk. I think both of them are enemies. I think he went after Fisk just because Fisk turned on him. Even after he shot, you kind of saw him, his jerk reaction of what this guy did. And it was just like, because I think he knows Murdock is a Daredevil personally. And I think, yeah. And I think his reaction was like, why'd you do that? Because easily he could have just clicked, take another shot and taken him out. Yeah. Still had plenty of time to get out. But I think he was so taken back by, hey, we're supposed to be on the same side here now, even though I killed your best friend. We have aligned goals. Why did you stop that?
Yeah.
So, I think this was all just vengeance for Bullseye. And
yeah, you could be right, because when Matt was dancing with Vanessa in the previous episode, when he was saying, hey, I know you killed Foggy, you ordered that hit, he then says, does your husband know? And so that's why in this episode, when they're sitting on the couch together, when Fisk says, Vanessa, I know, I thought, okay, maybe he's talking about the hit on Foggy. But I was also like, who cares? Other than that would make Matt really mad, you know? So because why would Fisk care? I don't know. I mean, Fisk has already cost Matt so much, but I don't know. I guess it's just one of those things where we're left to wonder, huh?
Yeah, definitely. Well, they'll answer everything come season 2.
Yeah.
I want to take a quick 30 seconds or so, talk about the cinematography. The use of color throughout was amazing, because if you notice, a lot of the times whenever it's Fisk, it's a lot of light and white. When it's Daredevil, of course, red, but Bullseye, you get a lot of shades of blue. If you notice, it started off and he's looking through and he's seeing everything in blue. The reason they did that is because in the original comics, Daredevil costume or uniform or whatever you want to call it was blue. Oh. That's how he sees everything is in blue. And how Daredevil, Matt was talking about how he sees the world on fire, so he sees all red. And of course, Fisk is always wearing white, so he's always got white around him with bright lights. So it's cool how they kind of didn't fit that into each character.
Didn't the song at the end talk about having colors in my head?
Oh, that's
two colors in my head.
That was an incredible song. Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's used a lot.
That song?
Yeah.
I've never heard it.
Oh yeah. A few movies.
Really? Well, it's interesting you bring up the colors.
I mean, it's
it's
cool.
And they have that song playing too.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was funny, just thinking back on all the unanswered questions on this episode or on this season, that Fisk had those bloody knuckles, and I think at this point we're to take that those were probably from beating Adam, but that his wife never noticed and was like, hey, Fisk, who have you been punching? Why do you have bloody knuckles?
When it comes to that, I think she's just like, as long as I can stay rich and no one's going to hurt me and I can eat lobster while walking in front of a bunch of jailed people, then yes.
She did it for the lost.
I'll stick around. I'll do whatever I need to. So,
well, I know that Drew has not really enjoyed this season as much as Doug and I. So I wonder, you've been waiting for action. Did you get what you were looking for in this season finale?
I did. I enjoyed it. I especially, I hadn't seen any of the Punisher either. So I've been waiting to see what this guy's all about. I mean, I know about him, but I want to see it in action. And the guy's just brutal.
Yeah.
Stabbing guys in the neck and, you know. But and to say that I haven't enjoyed this as much, I haven't enjoyed it as much as I did season 1, just because I wanted to see Daredevil. I wanted to see some stuff. And I know it's a long process and you got to get there. I get all that stuff. But no, it was fun to see that fight sequence in the apartment. and watching, the different ways that these guys fight, because Punisher's over there just putting bullets in everybody and cutting everybody up. And then on the other side, Daredevil's just whacking guys and knocking them out. It's just such a completely different style. And then to see how that, how do you cope with it afterwards? You found the guy who murdered, White Tiger, and how are you going to deal with it? And he hits him, in the club, and Punisher's like, here, just do this. It's like, oh no. But no, it was a fun sequence, and I'd like to see some more of the Punisher too. Yeah. I think he's an interesting character anyway.
Well, that was another test too. And to be tested to kill again by a friend, I think that was a big deal, because I mean, if you think about it, Matt was having the same flashback memories when he was fighting Muse, and he somewhat got bailed out there because we thought he might kill Muse, but then Angela, is that her name? Yeah, Angela needed CPR, and so he had to stop and save her, and we didn't necessarily see him like conquer the temptation to kill in that episode. But here, like, you found the guy that killed Hector. Yeah. Like, what are you going to do? So this season has been playing with that Adam and Eve metaphor, and now they're casting Punisher as the serpent, and he's standing there saying, kill him. What are you waiting for? So I just thought that was really cool. And, Matt had to overcome this, but like, I just thought it was cool that they didn't just have him want to kill him. They had a friend of his, like, trying to push him. And so there's that little extra incentive that he could have weakened there, and he had to stand like on his own and reclaim basically his identity and really his faith. Because I was thinking about this, his commitment to not killing is intertwined with his faith. If he loses who he is and starts killing, I feel like that really is going to cause like a serious identity crisis, because that, like, he's not actually living by his faith either, and that's really going to haunt him. So I don't know. What did you guys think about that?
Even Karen had said that to him too. If you go in there, you're going to have to kill somebody. You're going to be, you're going to be tempted to kill someone, or you're going to be killed. So don't go in there. Don't do this. So even she was kind of laying that groundwork that, how are you going to handle that situation if it comes up? And obviously he stayed true to who he is and didn't lose sight of that belief that that's not who I am and that's not who I'm going to be.
Yeah.
So he passed that test.
In that moment too, I wondered, like, if you were to trade Karen out for Heather, could Heather fulfill what Karen did there? Like, Karen talked him off of a ledge, and she knows him. Heather, you wonder, like, what would have happened there? Like, hey, you need to stop being Daredevil. We need to go, like, turn ourselves in. I don't know,
It all comes down to how long she's known. I mean, if she just finds out, she's probably just going to get mad and leave, like she did at the hospital.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't think she would have helped him at all, truthfully.
Yeah. It's interesting because they always play with Batman and Daredevil. They play with that idea of, do these heroes have some kind of psychosis? But in these stories, the way they're written, if you didn't have them, like if you didn't have people who were like overly committed to bringing justice or being a hero, like, what would happen in this show? What happened in New York? Like, it would just like fall off the planet.
Yeah, no, they did good. It was nice to see that character come back too, and having him have somebody to lean on, because that's something that he's been missing this entire season, is that one person he can fall back on. And having her show up and kind of keep him focused, it was nice to have her back.
Yeah, we kind of talked about that either last time or the time before, where, that's why he's struggling, is because he doesn't have that true friend, former cop, he's just a guy who knows the secret. That's not a friend. Frank is in and out. He's, again, not a friend. He's just another vigilante guy that he trusts. But again, he can't share stuff with them. Yeah, open up. Exactly. That's what he could do with Karen and Foggy. And so, having her in his life, it's a lot easier to, be Daredevil.
And I predict that she's going to be back for good in season 2. I don't know for sure, but I mean, think about all the other people in his life. He has these new friends, but none of them embrace who he is. He needs Karen and he needed Foggy. Because I kind of think Kirsten might come around. I don't know. Just the way they showed her at the end after Fisk has taken over the city, I thought maybe she was pondering how to take down Fisk. I don't know. But like she even said in the hospital, Matt, we need to have a conversation when you get better. And you can tell that she's sort of thinking the same way that Heather is. And Cherry, I don't know that Kirsten knows he's Daredevil, so maybe that is part of it. But Cherry, like we didn't even see him in this episode. And I still can't believe we didn't see Heather for like the entire rest of the episode.
Yeah, she went home and that was it.
Yeah, right? Until she took that job. But I mean, that it says a lot that she didn't check on Matt and Matt didn't check on her. But I get it from Matt's perspective. Like when you get in that Daredevil suit, it's life or death. You're kind of preoccupied. But I'm really surprised that she didn't even think that he might be in danger because he just took that bullet for Fisk.
Yeah.
Now he's in the hospital and the power goes out. Like as corrupt as everything is leaning, I would start to wonder if maybe somebody might go after him, but maybe she doesn't believe in that level of government corruption yet.
And some people are just, flat out blind where it's just like government say so, I say yes, and so, she could be someone like that where it's just like, well, he's the mayor. He's in charge. He's obviously good. We've listened to what he says. Vigilantes are bad. Kill them all.
Well, she hasn't seen anything with her own eyes yet, so I understand. Right. But I can't imagine that she's going to become like evil. So I'm still thinking that she's going to discover what's going on. But I don't know, man. I kind of think that this is the end of Heather and Daredevil, in my opinion.
I think so too. I don't think she's going to become evil. I think she's just not going to want to get involved. That's out of her comfort zone. So she's not. What she doesn't know, the more I don't know, the better.
Yeah, and we'll find out next season because obviously Fisk will have her do something that's going to be questionable, and it'll be, will she do it or will she not? Did she take the job to prove that Fisk is good or take the job to spy for Matt? Because Matt thinks he's bad and I love my boyfriend, so I'm going to get in here and help him out. So there's a few different ways. Like I said, they're doing a really good job with the writing. I'm not predicting things perfectly, or not even close to perfect. I've never been perfect, but
me either.
It's like, oh, this is going to happen. Oh, nope, that didn't happen. Oh, this guy's going to, nope, he did not die. Who's it? So, but again, I go back and I kind of look through the comics or, look up stuff and it's like, who is this person? And they're just taking names. They're not really going straight from the comic book. So that's throwing me off a bit too. I should just watch and make my own thoughts on that.
But they tried to show you how evil Fisk is too. I've read some articles that say they might be presenting Fisk as a false messiah, which makes me wonder since he's, dressed in all white and they've been playing with that Adam and Eve metaphor, of course. But when he crushes the commissioner's head,
that was nasty.
That looked very real. Like, I know they didn't really crush a person's head, but man, it sure looked like it. I'm like,
I saw the behind the scenes.
I think that was real.
Yeah, I saw the behind the scenes on that. They made a very realistic molding of him.
Wow, that's pretty amazing.
I wasn't expecting that much. I was expecting him to squeeze until the guy just kind of, like, you'd hear maybe a crack, like, okay, he just fractured his skull.
But you can't do that because apparently when necks and brains,
that's right. The only way you're going
a few hours later, so
you have to put your hand through his jaw and knock off the top part of his head. Yes, that went a little further than I thought it was going to go.
Oh, I knew it was coming. Like halfway through, I was like, oh, this is going to be the car scene 2.0, just because once he started squeezing his head, like I knew that was not going to end well. But it did make me think of this hilarious quote from The Tick. Tick, don't squeeze his head, when he's squeezing Jimmy Carter's head.
I've never watched that. I've seen a few things of it.
So, Doug, tell us about what you saw at the end when they show a flashback of Matt.
That was just kind of a cool symbolism. I don't know if you guys noticed it, but there was one scene where they did a flashback and when Matt was a kid standing there in a church looking out of a window, and he's got stained glass above him. Well, he's in like a 4-pane window. On the top right, or we get the camera right here, is a depiction of a demon or the devil. And then on the left side is depiction of an angel. And he is standing in the pane under the angel. So even, they keep showing things like, look, he's on the side of good. This is who Matt Murdock / Daredevil is. He's a good person. He's been struggling with it, but it's always been God's plan that he is a good guy. So, see, I just thought that was cool when I saw that.
That is cool because he even had that little dialogue of, this is my destiny and this is what God sent me to do. To have that. That's a good pickup, man. I didn't notice that. I remember him at the window, but I didn't catch the symbolism.
I wasn't looking for it. Just caught it.
Yeah, there's an interesting quote there too. He says that the mask didn't save him. It was needing to believe in the mask that saved him. And I was trying to figure out what that really means. And the best I can come up with is like, he knows that the mask, like Daredevil, has to remain a symbol of good, So once you put on the mask, like, it's not over. Like, you have to continue to fight that battle and remain on the side of good. And I think one of the most amazing things that he said in the episode is that, like, he thought it wouldn't happen to him, like he thought he was above killing, or like the darkness wouldn't take him. But that was really interesting. I mean, something I think people have to learn is that everybody is vulnerable. Like, it's just part of being human. And as soon as you think that, that wouldn't happen to me, or like even stuff like, people have affairs and stuff, and you think, you hope it wouldn't happen to you. But like, I think that if you put somebody in a pressure situation and they don't do something to get support, I mean, anybody could fall in the right circumstances. So, Daredevil needed Karen to help bring him out of his crisis. And I don't know. I really think anybody can screw up, and he's conquered his spiritual struggle here. He's realized he's vulnerable and that he needs people. And I think this is the conclusion of his spiritual identity crisis.
Yeah. So I think season 2 is going to be he's Daredevil's 100% back. He's not struggling with who he is. He's just struggling with how he's going to save the city.
Yeah. Karen might be, I mean, he's learned, but maybe Karen is like his safeguard that will help him not go over the edge. I don't know. Yeah.
I think it's always inside him. I mean, he's gone. I mean, this season, it went by quick, but this was an entire year in the storyline. She's been gone for 8, 9, 10 months or whatever. So, he's been struggling by himself for this entire time. And not to saying that at some point, maybe, he would crack, but this entire time, he's still been able to stop himself. Other than, the first episode when he did try to kill Bullseye, it's still in there. The good's still in him. So at least that's what I think.
I've got some predictions for season. So give me some quick hit answers. Will Foggy come back?
No.
In season 2.
I say no too, despite what the producer says. But will there be an official breakup between Daredevil and Heather, or did that happen without a conversation in this episode?
There will be. I don't think they're going to leave that alone. I think there's going to be at least another. We'll see her again.
Okay.
Oh, we'll see her again, but I think it'll actually be like, okay, here's, episode 1 of season 2 will be the last time on Daredevil, and they'll show all this, and then it'll come back and be like 3 months later, and they've already broken up, and they just happen to cross paths and stuff.
Will Karen get with Matt?
Yeah.
I think they'll kiss, but something will cause them to not, because if they want to continue with the Daredevil story, if they think Charlie Cox will be around for another 3 or 4 years to do this, you don't want to mess up the whole awkward love thing just yet. You want to use that for wait another season or 2. But I think they'll kiss.
Okay. I'd like to see them get together. It is a little early for that to happen.
Well, I don't know if it's early because they've had basically 4 seasons now.
But I don't want them to like do the Spider-Man thing where they decide they have to undo this relationship after a while. So I'm fine. I think they could get creative with the writing and juggle it. People love Karen so much. I think they'd be down for it.
Yeah, I think you got to keep her around now because we went a season without her and Foggy, and we're like, we want her and Foggy back. And I think they'll bring her back season 2 if they are doing the whole faking Foggy's death arc of the comic. I don't think that'll be until at least season 3, if they do a season 3.
Okay, what about this? Will Sheila die?
Yeah,
you think so?
Think so?
I think so.
Man, that would be cold if they killed her. I feel like she's going to get away, but I don't know.
She'll do it almost as a sacrifice, maybe just because she did turn on what's his name, and
I could see that
dying for it.
Drew hasn't answered yet.
I don't know.
All right, here's my last
Yeah.
one, unless you have an
It's
answer.
a good point on that one. So.
Will Matt and Punisher fight in season 2?
Hope so. That'd be fun.
I don't know. They've done that though.
Have they? Then they probably won't.
Season 2. Yeah, you gotta
I mean,
watch.
like a
If you like
full-out
this
drag-out
episode-
fight.
If you like this episode, you'll like season 2.
Okay. Well, man, if they've already done it, then they probably won't do it again.
Well, one more. I forgot. Will any vigilantes join Daredevil's army?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. This was an awesome episode, but the end was just a little lackluster for me because I wanted somebody to walk in. It's like, let's whet the appetite for season 2. Let's give them at least one, maybe Kate Bishop walks in. I mean, yeah, I've heard so many people talk this season about they're in New York. Everyone is in New York.
Somebody show
Half
up.
The Avengers are in
Where's
New
Thor?
York. Spider-Man's in New York. He doesn't have any friends. Why don't you go check out this guy who wearing the same colors you are and flying on where, so I was kind of hoping for something, I figured, at some point the swordsman would walk in, but then we come to find out he's imprisoned by Fisk. So it's like, well, nope, not him. So yeah, I think the swordsman will have a big part in Punisher's special because they're doing a one-off Punisher, like hour and a half episode or something like that. So I think it's going to be him. That's what the credit scene was him getting ready to escape, and he's going to try to rescue everyone.
That's where I thought we were going to get a nice little surprise when they went to the after credit scene. You're like, okay, we're going to get a little something here, right? And you see him in his cage, and I thought that's where we might have somebody show up and help get him out.
Yeah.
But instead it was just him doing what he does and getting himself out. So I was like, it's a missed opportunity.
I'm expecting maybe the Defenders to show up. I'm not sure though, because if they bring in Elektra, that would mess up what they just set up with Karen. Of course, maybe they want that tension. I don't know, because there was some romance between Daredevil and Elektra in season 2. We'll see. Maybe she'll come back this time. And
we got one more, the craziest prediction. I've heard some weird ones and everything, but the craziest prediction is that New York City will become the battle realm for Secret Wars, and that Daniel Blake is not an alien. He's actually Dr. Doom, aka Robert Downey Jr. And come the end of season 2, everything that's happening will somehow work into making New York the battleground where all these Avengers will have to fight eventually. I thought that would be interesting, but that's pretty crazy.
My question is, if he's Dr. Doom, also Robert Downey Jr., how do you play that off by two different characters?
What do you mean?
There are two different actors playing the same character. Maybe I'm confused on what you said. You said you think that...
No, I don't think this at all.
No, this is what
I just think what I heard. Yeah.
Okay, so that doesn't make any sense to me.
They're both Skrulls.
Daniel Blake is actually Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom is very intelligent, so he was able to...
But he's played by Robert Downey Jr.
That's what... So I don't know if you know this or not, but yeah, Robert Downey Jr., they've already said that he's coming back to play Dr. Doom.
Right.
In the new Avengers movies.
Right.
So that's what they're saying, is that Daniel Blake is Dr. Doom, and he's setting up his battle world so he can create the Secret Wars.
That would be dumb.
I don't get it. Yeah.
That'd be dumb.
Yeah, it seemed kind of weird to me too, but I thought it was funny.
Maybe they'll create a loose connection, but I think they basically leave Daredevil kind of on his own little island here. But that's just my opinion. It does look to me like they are headed towards a Dark Knight Rises style season 2, where it's Daredevil's army against this evil terrorist army under Fisk. And that is very Dark Knight Rises to me. And I liked that movie, so I'm very much looking forward to season 2.
Cool.
All right, well, that's a wrap. Check out season 1 on our site, on our YouTube page.
Yeah, we got to figure out what we're doing next.
Yeah, we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah. All right. See ya.